Hi there, welcome to our 19th International Globe Sound Healing Conference. I've learned so much in these conferences over the years, and I hope you have too as well. We set sacred space now. We ask for help from many of our guides, ascended masters, archangels, ancestors, and positive aliens, only for our highest good. We ask that you get whatever you need or want out of this conference to be able to help yourself and to help others, all for everyone's highest good. Enjoy. Here's an overview of the things we do at the Institute. At the Sound Healing Center, we have four main things going on: the Institute, the Sound Healing Store, the Sound Therapy Center, and the Sound Healing Research Foundation. At Globe Institute, we offer 2 sound healing certificates and 1 audio recording certificate. All of them are also offered online, as well as in person here in Sausalito, outside of San Francisco. We're the only state-approved college in the entire United States that offers sound healing. David has created the #1 selling books in the field of audio recording and sound healing. In recording, there's the art of mixing and the art of producing, and in sound healing, the complete guide to sound healing. He's also written a book on sound-loving relationships, creating harmony and loving relationships, including many sound healing techniques. It's all about being whole on your own, heart open. The Sound Healing Store has over 400 sound healing instruments and technologies. We also have a physical store where you can experience everything. In the store, we've got over 100 CDs and downloads. We've got all of my books. We have a full range of instruments, including crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, didgeridoos, gongs, drums, rattles, tuning forks, and a full range of melodic instruments. We also have a wide range of consciousness-raising technologies, including sound chambers. We have sacred geometries and pendants, color and light therapies. We also have our brainwave assessment kit software and the voice analysis software. We got a contract with the largest dementia company in Northern California, and we've created 8 different protocols that have been implemented there for the last 2 years, and it's transformed the place dramatically. Check it out at soundfordementia.com. And we've got a full range of vibroacoustic tools. We make sound lounges, sound tables, sound vests, sound pillows, sound dolphins, and bass straps. All of these are excellent for a wide range of physical and emotional issues and just getting you relaxed and blissed out. At the Sound Therapy Center, we have over a dozen treatments that we offer here in Sausalito, and many of them we offer online. At the Sound Healing Research Foundation, you can find over 1,000 clinical and student papers categorized for easy searching. You will also find the Medical Sound Association with over 1,000 doctors and sound therapists meeting bi-monthly to create treatment plans for a wide range of issues. These 30-page treatment plans are an excellent resource if you're working on a specific issue for yourself or a client. Check out medicalsoundassociation.com, where you can also join and attend our bi-monthly meetings. Finally, we have the Sound Education Association. We got a grant for $100,000 to bring our curriculum into 2 Montessori schools. With over 100 teachers and administrators, we've created over 2,500 exercises for kids from 3 months up to 18 years, all based on the books on brain development. We're now expanding the curriculum and creating schools around the world. Check out soundeducationassociation.com, where you can also join for free. You can find everything at soundhealingcenter.com. You can also email us at david@soundhealingcenter.com or call 415-777-2486. Now enjoy the podcast. At the Sound Healing Center, we have 4 main things going on: the Institute, the Sound Healing Store, the Sound Therapy Center, and the Sound Healing Research Foundation. At Globe Institute, we offer 2 sound healing certificates and 1 audio recording certificate. All of them are also offered online, as well as in person here in Sausalito, outside of San Francisco. We're the only state-approved college in the entire United States that offers sound healing. David has written the #1 selling books in both fields: the art of mixing, the art of recording, and in sound healing, the complete guide to sound healing. The Sound Healing Store has over 400 sound healing instruments and technologies. We also have a physical store where you can experience everything. In the store, we've got over 100 CDs and downloads. We've got all of my books. We have a full range of instruments, including crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, didgeridoos, gongs, drums, rattles, tuning forks, and a full range of melodic instruments. We also have a wide range of consciousness-raising technologies, including sound chambers. We have sacred geometries and pendants, color and light therapies. We also have our brainwave assessment kit software and the voice analysis software. And we've got a full range of vibroacoustic tools. We make sound lounges, sound tables, sound vests, sound pillows, sound dolphins, and bass straps. All of these are excellent for a wide range of physical and emotional issues and just getting you relaxed and blissed out. At the Sound Therapy Center, we have over a dozen treatments that we offer here in Sausalito, and many of them we offer online. At the Sound Healing Research Foundation, you can find over 1,000 clinical and student papers categorized for easy searching. You will also find the Medical Sound Association with over 1,000 doctors and sound therapists meeting bi-monthly to create treatment plans for a wide range of issues. These 30-page treatment plans are an excellent resource if you're working on a specific issue for yourself or a client. Check out medicalsoundassociation.com, where you can also join and attend our bi-monthly meetings. Finally, we have the Sound Education Association. We got a grant for $100,000 to bring our curriculum into 2 Montessori schools. With over 100 teachers and administrators, we've created over 2,500 exercises for kids from 3 months up to 18 years, all based on the books on brain development. We're now expanding the curriculum and creating schools around the world. Check out soundeducationassociation.com, where you can also join for free. You can find everything at soundhealingcenter.com. You can also email us at david@soundhealingcenter.com or call 415-777-2486. I wanted to tell you a few things going on at the Institute. As mentioned, we are the only state-approved college in the whole United States for sound healing. We've got 2 certificate programs, a first semester where you learn all the basics. There's really 4 main areas. You learn how the universe is based on vibration. Not only the entire universe, but also the physical body. And that includes music, because I believe the whole universe is music. You also learn many skills to get a job and get a career. We're a vocational college, so we have to place 70% of our students. You also learn how to get to peace over and over, so that becomes the norm in your life, and you can help others get to a place of peace. But especially, we teach how healing works based on sound, music, and vibration. And not only healing, but higher consciousness, which includes everything from gratitude to compassion to love to your soul frequency to source. It's a profound program, and it's really, really effective for getting you to the next level. We also have our advanced program where you become more of a sound therapist, and we go into detail on different issues. We also go through acupuncture for tuning forks and a lot of information and exactly how to open up your own practice as a sound therapist. You can do the whole program online, or you can do it here at the Institute in Sausalito, just outside of San Francisco. We normally have 3.5-month semesters in person here, but we also have our summer intensive, which is 10 days, 10 to 9:30 every day, and that's half of the program, and then you do the rest online. The advanced program is only online. You can check out all the classes at soundhealingcollege.com. I also wanted to tell you about our Brainwave app. We've been finding a person's rhythm of their metabolism where they're at peace for about 10 years. And when you find that note by playing each of the 12 notes and rhythms, then we can give you CD downloads in Delta for sleep, Theta for creativity and oneness, Alpha for learning and being present, Beta for thinking and overcoming ADHD, and Gamma for blissing out, tuned precisely to the rhythm of your brain and heart. And it's way more effective when tuned to you, these binaural beat rhythms.
So you can check that out at yourhomenote.com. We also do voice analysis. We've got the software voiceanalysisharmony.com. Based on 20 years of research, we found different notes that are missing in the voice that correspond to different physical, mental, and emotional issues. A healthy person sings through all of the notes when they speak, whereas a person that's about to die, they stay on the same note the whole time. And when notes are missing when you speak, because we all sing when we speak, those correspond to different issues. So the remedy is then to sing along or tone the note that is missing to get it back in your system. It's really, really effective. You can check out that at voiceanalysisharmony.com. One other thing, we just put together a list of treatments that we offer and information for over 40 different issues. Email me and I'll send you the Google Sheet link. It's really, really a lot of information and a lot of really effective treatments for all of these different issues. Thank you so much and enjoy the conference.
So today is about research. We're going to get into how to do research, but especially what research would help the planet the most. Our intention is that we actually might be able to figure out how to heal every disease and open every heart on the planet. That's all. So we teach a research class, basically clinical research, in our advanced program, where everybody has to do a clinical study or mock clinical study. And so I've got a lot of ideas as to how to do research for sound healing, which is very difficult because there's so many frequencies. There's 20,000 frequencies, infinite frequencies if you count the decimal points. There's a gazillion sounds, which are a combination of frequencies. There's a gazillion musical flows. So to test very specifics in sound healing is really difficult. Anytime anybody says, "Oh, I there's some research that proves this does this," I'm like, "Well, did you test all the other 20,000 frequencies?" I mean, because you can test one frequency and get some good results only because frequencies are stable, consistent vibrations, which are good no matter what. Any frequency is better than chaos. So they're often always good. But when you test them all, you can find the ones that are exactly for that specific issue, but it takes forever. Anthony Holland, that we'll be talking about, actually spent a year and a half testing frequencies, actually 10 years now. He's been 10 years he's been testing frequencies to explode cancer and come up with 15 frequencies that will destroy 15 different types of cancer. 10 years, right? Which is not a long time for getting rid of cancer completely. I mean, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of time and often a lot of money. And that's the big problem, is the money. There's the biggest problem is not only how much money it takes, but also how much time. If you're going to do a research project, I figure you should really do something that's going to help a lot of people in a big way.
There's a research project at the Institute of Noetic Science. I was at their board meeting a few years ago, and they were all excited about this research project where they had done a study on medical intuitives working on carpal tunnel. And they had really cool physiological devices hooked up to the people to really see how effective it was. And then they got something like, went from like 5 on a scale of 1 to 10 with the symptoms down to a 3.5, something like that. And I'm thinking, how is this going to help the world? Okay, maybe we show that medical intuitives are a little more effective. They actually are real, right? But it's like, is that going to save uh, people's lives? Is it going to heal millions of people with carpal tunnel? No, no, not at all, right? It's like God, if you're going to spend a lot of time, do something that's really going to affect people. Same with John Stuart Reed, who I love. John's a great colleague. They did a whole study where they actually had a whole group of people on Zoom toning with an intention of love into a box that shows red blood cells, shows the number of red blood cells that are healthy. And he got it so that the red blood cell counter OD'd. It could not count the positive red blood cells anymore, which is incredible, right? It's so cool. It even had a group sing music into it as well, and it was really effective. It also overloaded the device. It's very cool, but how is that going to heal? I mean, again, it shows that our intention and our energy is really effective. And that's cool because a lot of people don't believe in that. But how many lives are we going to save with that? How many lives, right? It's really, really the whole deal is how can we help millions of people? And so we'll be talking about that in detail. The other problem with research is research that's not done well or extensively. There's a really good book by Lynn McTaggart called The Field, and she goes through about 100 different research projects that people have done for all different things, not around sound, maybe one or a few around sound, but it's really interesting because she talks about precisely what makes a good research project, a good protocol. The main thing, first thing that's obvious is the number of people that you test. I mean, there's a lot of research projects out there, and that even get posted on Yahoo or get on into the media where they maybe tested, like 10 people. Right? You got to really test like at least 100 people or more to really get a good a really good idea of as to whether it's really effective. Sometimes thousands of people you need to actually test. I mean, there's this one research study done with I think it was MIT University where they have people try to change the zeros and ones coming out of a computer. And if they do nothing over time, it averages out to about half and half. And they've now had over 1.4 million people do this test. And definitively, statistically, they've proven that you can absolutely change the zeros and ones coming out of a computer. That's a pretty cool project, even though it's not going to help a lot of people, right? People, I mean, maybe we could change our computer and keep it from dying or something. I don't know, but it's at least it was a good project, well done project. The other really big problem is making actual projects that only test one variable. That's the problem with the human body is there's so many things going on it's really hard to pin down one thing for being the actual reason for something going wrong in the body. It's really hard because, I mean, even your idea of the fact that you're being tested can affect it. I mean, it's like so hard to pin down an emotion or pin down a specific frequency. It's just so difficult, especially in sound healing, because let me put it this way: the projects, I would say, the things that are the most effective when you do sound healing on someone is when you use a lot of different instruments over a period of time, like an hour or two, right? So you do voice and crystal bowls, you do intention, you do a full range of instruments and maybe tuning forks, and often it's miracles happen over and over. I've seen it. It's incredible. But how do you know which one of those was the thing that did it? And if you start just testing one instrument, holy moly, there's 1,000 instruments. It's going to take forever. Not to mention if you're using tuning forks, all the different frequencies of the tuning forks or the tuning of the instrument. Or, it's so difficult. And even when you play the instrument, how can you play it without your energy behind it? It's your energy that often does the healing. Not only your intention, but just the type of energy and caring and focus that you actually bring to the session. It's so hard to pin things down, right? So to get things to there's one variable is really, really tricky. But here's the biggest problem of all with research projects. And that is the conceptual framework that you're actually basing your whole thing on as to what you're trying to prove. A lot of people, we'll get into it in detail later, but when it comes to sound, a lot of people go, oh, let's prove this frequency. Well, if you've listened to my podcast, there's a lot of other realms other than just frequency. There's timbre, which is a combination of frequencies. For example, if you play all the different frequencies of the heart, the whole heart, the material of the heart, the fluids of the heart, the frequency of the cells, the frequency of the at the atomic level, the frequency at the photon light level, the frequency at the electromagnetic level, and the quantum level, all of those frequencies together are going to be way more effective than one frequency for the heart. But even more effective is the musical flow going through the heart energetically when it actually does its spiral pump, right? And the energetic flow of music going through the circulatory system, not to mention the nervous system that's controlling the rhythm of the heart. I mean, oh my God, there's these whole musical flow systems that are way more important than the actual frequency. It's nice to work at all levels, at the frequency level and the flow level. But a lot of people aren't looking at the flow level at all. As I've said, if you don't have good, smooth musical flow through the nervous system, you're going to be shaky. If you don't have good, smooth flow through the meridian, it's a problem. So you can measure the acupuncture points, and when energy flows through a meridian, it's playing a melody, a very specific melody. Ba da da da, right? And you can actually put needles on the body and use frequencies electromagnetically and play that melody through the body. You could also use a full range of other levels of vibration as well. So the framework is a big deal. But even further, maybe the problem is the emotions that you're running. Maybe the problem is the something with the brain and the focus and your brain waves. But especially what people hardly ever talk about is what about your spiritual connection? What about your connection to nature and all the rhythms in nature? I mean, that could be huge as to why there's a problem. Are you running enough gratitude? Need to do a little more compassion, right? A little more love. Let's run little more love, right? And what about the connection to your soul? I mean, when you connect to your soul knows how to heal things. And you can't prove the soul. There's no way to prove the soul. So in science and research, there is zero about the soul. And your soul connection could be the number one thing that's actually causing the problem or not. Right? Your soul connection or not. Right? So the framework as to how you think healing is working is a really big deal, because you could just be proving something that is one small component when there's way many other components that are way more important for healing that thing. It's so interesting because I've been following in detail all of the research on dementia, since we've got a whole center for dementia and website, soundfordementia.com. And there's all these different things, from vitamins to a full range of how you might, the plaque might be the problem, how there's like even the actual, the way that the brain actually detoxes. I mean, there's all type. It's so interesting to look at all this, and they may all be right. They may be contributing, but nobody knows for sure the overall framework to actually know which one of those is the real thing. Here's another problem. To be able to prove something really specifically, let me put it this way. My brother's son was one of the top people in the CDC during the vaccine. Oh my God. And I didn't get a vaccine, so he wouldn't even talk to me. But I asked him by email. I said, I was talking about sound. And then also I knew a few people that died right after getting the vaccine. And he wrote me back and said, no one has ever been hurt by a vaccine ever. No one has ever died from a vaccine. And I'm like, how could you say that? Well, scientifically, there's no way to prove that the vaccine was what did it. It could have been other things, right? The fact that it happened within a week after the vaccines, not exact proof. So scientifically, again, because of the whole thing of more than one variable, there's no way to prove scientifically that was the problem. Same as not being able to prove if something is the thing that heals it. So here's one way that you can do it that's really interesting with sound that I've thought about. You could do a treatment on a specific issue. So you pin down the person's issue, and you don't have to even do an assessment, just have them tell you. Maybe they did do something at the doctor that proved they had the issue, but most people know what issues they have, and you can still go on that. And then you do the treatment with all different instruments, all different sounds, tuning forks, voice, love, right? Wide range. I mean, tap into their soul frequency, whatever. And then you actually go, okay, which one of these seem to be the most effective for getting rid of that pain? Say they have pain. And the person you're doing the treatment on might say, well, the tuning forks were really the most effective. Okay, cool. Let's test a full range of tuning forks, sizes and frequencies. And we'll actually test frequency ranges. So we can do, tuning forks that are between 20 and 40 hertz, between 40 and 80, 80 and 160, and so forth. And we'll test those and see what frequency range for these tuning forks are working the best. And then get closer and closer and try and pin it down more and more, right, until you get the exact frequency that's working. That's still, oh my God, there's so many different types of pain, and there's different body parts that have pain. Even if it's the same pain, they may need different frequency for your toe versus your liver, right, or your stomach. So it's still pretty tricky, but you can weed it out where you get more and more refined. So that's one way to do it. Oh, I just thought of another way that's really interesting. I've had, if you actually, if you go on the internet, you'll find many frequencies that intuitives and psychics have come up with, or muscle testing, things that aren't really scientifically uh, 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 accepted, right? But those can be good first steps since there's so many frequencies. I thought, let's get a room full of psychics and ask them what's the best frequency for the heart, right? And then see if they agree, and whatever they come up with, let's actually then test those frequencies and see how effective it is, unless we've got 20 years to test every frequency on every organ. Oh, I'm sorry, 20 lifetimes more so. We should get started. We should really get started, right? Because even if it took 20 lifetimes and we could actually heal every disease, oh my God, right? So this is pretty cool to be able to really do it in a way that you can actually do a shortcut. So here's some of my thoughts. Okay. One thing is to actually, I mean, with the money thing, you can also get hospitals involved. Some hospitals have things they'll let you use, but even so, instead of creating your own lab, you can actually rent out their facilities, and whether it's MRI or CAT scans or whatever. And so often hospitals are really open to actually doing the process, although it's tricky because you have to do very specific protocols so that you don't hurt anybody, and so it's not easy, but you don't have to have your own lab. Now, we're doing some research on how you can tune very specific frequencies to your brain in specific rhythms. So you can actually find your metabolism, which we do now, the brainwave assessment, and then be able to actually play music tuned to your brain for delta, for sleep, theta for creativity and oneness, alpha for learning, and then beta for thinking and overcoming ADHD, and gamma for blissing out. And Jeffrey Thompson's research shows that it's way more effective, these binaural beat rhythms, when they're tuned to where you are naturally in those different brainwave states throughout the day. So I want to play a little bit of a recording tuned to me. This is not only my note of B flat, this is my frequency of B flat, and this is my rhythm of B flat. So I took B flat and I octavized it down, or actually to change to BPM, you actually multiply by 60 to go from cycles per second or hertz up to beats per minute. And then I created a rhythm. So not only is the tuning of the song and the drone to B flat, but the rhythm is to B flat. And I listen to this almost every morning. So let me play a little bit of this and see what you think. It's for me, but it'll give you an idea of how cool it is. Wow. It may not have been great for you, but it was great for me. So, oh my God, it's so my rhythm and my note. It really centers me really well. One thing really funny, I don't know if you noticed, my kitty was kneading right in time with the music. I've never noticed that before. It's like maybe my kitty's frequency is the same frequency as mine. I, so the whole deal here is how are we going to help millions of people? Well, first of all, the work that Anthony Holland is doing is massive. Right? So he's got 15 frequencies that will destroy 15 types of cancer 80% of the time in the lab. But when we actually use a microscope, like a light microscope, and measure the entire frequency content of a cell, not just one frequency or two like he's working with, but you measure all the frequencies of the cell, based on physics, we can use destructive resonance, the same thing they do with kidney stones, and explode that cancer 100% of the time. So now we're doing an assessment on the frequency of the cancer cells that a specific person has, and get rid of it 100% of the time. So it'll take a little bit of research there. Right now, already, John Hopkins is actually using ultrasound on cancer cells, liver cancer. So it's in the mainstream now. And so we can actually make it way more effective, where it's 100% effective with a little bit of research, not a huge amount of research, but just actually testing when we actually find all the frequencies of a cell instead of one frequency. Again, maybe there's an emotion that's causing that cancer. That's a whole nother ball game. All right. But that's where we ultimately need to go, is what emotion is actually causing it. Is it fear? Is it not feeling good enough? No, it'll be really interesting to try to pin down that emotion. That's down the line, though, probably down the line a few lifetimes. Right? Then the other thing is that we're working on is the frequencies for pain. The research shows that if you fill up a nerve with sound, nerves can only handle one piece of information, so therefore there's no more pain. So this is incredible to just simply find all the nerves that create pain, find their frequency, and be able to use either sound, electromagnetic device, infrared, whatever. Use all the different levels. Could use ultrasound or even quantum frequencies and fill up that nerve with sound and no more pain. I just had a kidney stone a couple of weeks ago. I actually used frequencies right on the ureter, and it passed within an hour. Oh my God. It would be nice to know the frequency of the ureter to really get rid of the pain, because kidney stones is just simply the ureter screaming, right? It's really it's we could actually get rid of that pain and not have people laying in the hospital for a week, just dying. It's so horrible. But then we need to research every type of pain. There's about 25 different types of pain, and for anything that's a specific organ or specific, muscle or nerve, I think it's going to be very easy to find that frequency and actually be able to get rid of the pain 100% of the time. Things that are like fibromyalgia or a systemic pain, those are going to be take a longer time and may take a while to actually figure out. But we could probably get rid of at least 50 to 70% of all pain within a year. That's huge. God kind of blew it with the pain thing. Okay, we need to know there's something wrong, but we don't need to kill people with pain, right? So that's really a big one there. But here's the another one that's really cool, and that is getting people into universal love. So we can actually do an EEG map of where your brain is, all the frequencies, which are actually rhythms of each lobe, when you're running gratitude. Most people can get into gratitude. We do a little meditation or love. Right? Most people can get into love, but most people don't have a clue what universal love is. So we could do an EEG map on people that can get into universal love, and then see the relationships of all the parts and the song that's flowing across the brain as thoughts flow across the brain, and then map that to your metabolism. Right. So we could get you into universal love. And then there's oneness. I've talked about Jeffrey Martin that's got ultrasound frequencies that he can play on microtubules and get you into oneness in the lab just about every time. That's really cool. We can also do an EEG map on people that know how to, at will, get into a state of oneness. And then look at the relationships of the lobes, look at the notes of each lobe and see how how the energy is moving across the brain, which is a song. It's playing a song, da, 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 and then we can map that key of that song to your metabolism and get you into oneness. This is huge. If you're one with the universe and in universal love, there's no more anxiety. There's no more depression. There's no more PTSD. We're talking about an end to all mental, emotional issues. And you're freaking blissed out, right? The only problem is why get out of bed? Why go do anything? Because you're just blissed out. You might become homeless. But then we have classes on how to incorporate your will and your mental body to actually still use it while blissed out, the way higher beings and the way people that have gotten to a much higher level, they're doing both at the same time. They're using their willpower while in the zone to manifest things or change the world. Tricky, because the second you start desiring something, you go out of the zone of being one with the universe. So you have to be able to work it while in that zone. And that's the next big step. But we're talking again, no more mental emotional issues. This is massive. This is huge. This is really huge. But then there's the big one. So you see, what I'm talking about is figuring out how the whole system works. I mean, there's a lot of people that have done research on a certain song, right? Or a certain frequency. And they say, oh, this is 50% effective for pain or set whatever percentage. We've got tons of studies on our site if you go to soundloungecenter.com. Also, as I've mentioned, you can go to researchfoundation.org. Let me show you. Let me show you that one and see all these clinical papers. Here we go. Soundhealingresearchfoundation.org. So if you go here, Sound Healing Research Foundation, you'll see clinical research, and there's all these different, I mean, we've got over 1,000 papers here. You can click on clinical studies on anxiety around sound and music and search. And then here's all the studies for anxiety. So this is really, really cool. You can, if you want to learn about, oh my God, there's PTSD. Here's all the ones on PTSD. And these are clinical papers. A lot of it's music, but a lot of sound as well. Also, the other thing that's really cool is we've got about 1,000 student papers. And these student papers are really cool as well. They're not clinical studies, but, they're still really excellent papers. I love them. And then they're categorized as well. So you can check them out. While I'm thinking about it, also, there's another thing we have on our site here that's really cool. Not perfectly scientific, but it's made some headway. And that is, if you go to our Medical Sound Association and click on intake forms, medicalsoundassociation.com, and click on intake forms, you'll see a form that you can fill out whenever you do a treatment with sound. And you don't even have to put in the real name and email, but just put in their health concerns and check any issue, and then you can write it down and then put down the severity of the issue on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most severe. and then or write down what instrument or check which instrument you're using, and then after put the severity of the treatment after the actual treatment. Well, we've been collating this form for about 5 or 6 years now. And look, we've got 417 entries and we've got 67.88 reduction in symptoms. That's unheard of in the medical field. That's unheard of. Again, not perfectly scientific, but it's not bad data. Even the doctors have actually been convinced by this. Uh, you can also go to a health concern and go, okay, let's look at anxiety and then do a filter for that. Well, we got 234 entries with all sound healing instruments and technology, 70% reduction of symptoms. This is massive, right? Even pharmaceuticals don't do that well. But you could go here and go anxiety with frosted crystal bowls and filter for that. And now we got 168 entries at 69.47% reduction in symptoms. This is really cool, and you can use this data to actually uh, put it on your site just to show how effective sound healing is. It's very cool. Now, what we're looking at doing is creating an app so that you can actually have your own version of this that will tie into the home version. So we still get all the data, but you could actually test for, okay, over 5 minutes after the session, 3 hours after the session, 5 days after the session. So you could actually, and then test over multiple treatments, see if it's more effective. So we can actually get way more detailed based on specific issues. Because ultimately, with something like this, we can actually really start pinning down what music, what sounds, what instruments and such are the best for specific issues. So it could be very, very helpful. Okay. But then we got the big one, and that is to heal all disease in the world. Now, the framework is that it's all music, that musical flow through the body is the whole deal. As I was just talking about, if you don't have smooth musical flow through your circulatory system, you're going to have a heart attack. If you don't have smooth flow through your digestive system, all types of problems. We're talking about smooth flow through every one of the 11 medical systems. The muscular, endocrine gland, I mean, all the different medical systems that doctors talk about: nervous system, circulatory system, skeletal system, muscular, lymphatic system, especially about flow, respiratory, digestive, urinary, reproductive, endocrine, and the skin. Right? It's all, we're all talking about smooth flow. So that's the framework. Now, musical flow is based on notes or frequencies, right? Those are the notes that are flowing one after another, and the sounds, which are a combination of frequencies, and the musical intervals. They all help to create the musical flow of rhythm and melody. And there's even musical flow of energy as well. So when we start looking at the body that way, now we can, with an electron microscope, measure every frequency of every cell, all the frequencies of every cell. And then we've got the notes. And then we can use the actual metabolism of the person, which is EKG and EEG, which is their heart rate and brainwave rate and even breath rate, and extrapolate what the rhythm through each one of those 11 systems is. And now we got the song of each of the 11 systems. And then we can use needles with frequencies, ultrasound, electromagnetic pads, infrared light, and scalar waves, and run that river of flow through each of the 11 systems to break through the blockages and create health. The definition of health is smooth flow without blockages. So when we start looking at every disease that way, instead of the way it's looked at now, which is really mostly looking at it separate from other systems. The way our medical system is the the way it started is to just look at the organ and not how it's a part of a larger system, not to mention all of the frequencies of nature and your emotions and the mental body and even the spiritual body. Oh, Panda likes that one. Right. So it's really about then using that framework to not only look at the flow systems through the whole body, but look at the flow systems within an organ, like the way the actual heart actually pumps. It's actually a little flow system to create that pump. And you can look at the flow system within cells. You could look at the flow system within the atoms these days. There's a microscope Bruce Lipton told me about that will measure the spin of the atoms. So now we're talking about a whole different framework to heal every disease there is. And then we begin or continue on the flow of emotions. Stop holding on to them. Stop doing the loop. I can't believe what they're doing. Can you believe what they're doing? I can't. Can you believe what they're doing? I can't believe what they're doing. And the flow of energy through the brain that creates focus. And ultimately, the flow of your soul in relation to your mental, emotional, and physical body. The frequency and flow of your soul, which is so important to ultimately connect to. It's so peaceful. It never wobbles. And the biggest flow of all, most important, source. Source is not only flowing, it's intelligent. So ultimately, with the right research, we find the Holy Grail and cure all mental, emotional issues and all physical issues forever. Maybe, probably not in this lifetime, but we're on the way. Oh my God. And then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to play. We're going to play, get creative, and just run more love. Oh my God. And heal relationships. Hold that energy for the rest of the evening and the weeks ahead, months ahead, years ahead, and lifetimes. Thanks for listening. Take care. Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have Catherine Clinton. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, David. I'm really excited to be here.
Welcome, welcome. Dr. Catherine Clinton is a licensed naturopathic physician and has spent over 17 years helping people overcome their health issues. She's the founder and chair of the Quantum Biology Health Institute. Her mission is to empower as many people as she can with knowledge of quantum biology for health and help them explore a new perspective in healing. What's quantum biology exactly?
That's a great question. Quantum biology is the study of quantum mechanics in living systems. And that sounds very heady and nerdy, right? But really, what we're looking at is this language of frequency in the body and how our proteins and cells and enzymes are communicating with frequency and resonance, like two tuning forks. So it expands our understanding past this chemical mechanical model that we all learned in school and is currently being taught in medical schools across the globe to this understanding of a faster, more efficient way for the body to transfer energy and information, and thus a faster, more efficient way to heal. And sound is certainly a huge component of that.
I often think of it as thought forms, emotions, and especially intention.
Yeah,
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 yeah, it's
absolutely.
quantum. Yeah. And then Bruce Lipton, I mean, I just interviewed him last year. He's got there's clinical studies that show that your energy and your intention completely changes the cells.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of talk out there about how the thought, just a thought, the firing of the neurons create these collisions of molecules, creating sound. And there's this sound imprint from our thoughts as well. And so it's just fascinating.
I just got an idea last week for a movie, and I've been working it, and it's really funny. So in the future, they figure out precisely how your thoughts and emotions create disease. And
I
they
love
go,
it.
and then they go, okay, you just had a thought of demeaning someone or not liking or angry or anything. Okay, you're getting that disease right there. You're going to stop that thought?
Like a real-time shot caller, but
Right, right. And all
pointing
this,
out.
yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so what have you been up to lately?
I have been busy. I've got a book coming out in January, and I last year started the Quantum Biology Health Institute, and we're doing research right now. We have 34 participants in a research study looking at heart coherence exercise daily practice and how that influences our mitochondrial function, those little organelles in our cells that have been associated with health and longevity. So I'm really excited about that.
How do you monitor mitochondria health?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're working with UC San Diego and the research team down there. And what they are doing is they're using a blood spot test called the Me screen. And so you prick a finger, put it on the spot, and you do that before we're studying people for 42 days. So basically they spend 5, 6 minutes doing this heart coherence exercise every day. And they test their mitochondria before with this blood spot, and they do it after with this blood spot. And the neat thing is, this test can look at not only ATP production, so mitochondria create ATP, that energy source of the body, but they also do all kinds of things. They are cellular messengers, they deal with the immune system and the hormonal system. And this test looks at so many different factors of the mitochondria. It can tell their resilience to stress, whether they're working as a community, their level of coherence with each other, reactive oxygen species. It's a really cool test. So I'm hopeful that we'll find that even a small daily practice can have big effects on the body.
Uh-huh. Cool. Did you get a partnership with the university, or do you have to get funding?
Oh yeah, I had to get funding. Well, I funded it. I
Oh,
did
okay.
a course. We did in the spring. I did a course called the Quantum Biology of Trauma, and all of the funds for that went into research. It's hard to get research for things that I'm interested in, David. Um,
Oh, I
you
know.
know,
We're setting up a whole research lab and going to be doing about 40 different research projects over the next 10 years. And so
it-
I'm really excited. And I'm really interested in the research projects that will help millions of people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I am interested in research projects that look at free accessible things, right? Like heart coherence.
Hmm.
You don't need any device, you don't need any special interventions, you don't need anything except yourself and how guiding your thoughts can have such a huge impact. So I'm with you. That is so exciting. I'm so excited for your lab and the research that'll come out of that.
So here's the big question.
Yeah.
If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people?
That is a big question. And boy, I could spend a lot of time thinking about that. But the thing that comes to mind most readily is using that money to allow people to cultivate a relationship with nature in some form or another. I don't know what that would look like, but I know that a lot of people in today's world, they live in this world where productivity is sort of the marker of success. Financial obligations and burdens are just piling up. And if there was some way to lighten that load and give them access to a relationship with nature, I think that we could be hitting so many different things. You know, we could be improving their light environment, the sounds of nature, the negative ions and fields that are abundant in nature. But foremost would be this relationship with the world around us cultivates this sense of belonging, this sense of safety that I think many people aren't experiencing today. And so for me, it would be yes, we'd get them out in nature. That would be healthy. That would be great for them. But I think the real medicine, the real change point would be when they develop that relationship on their own and they realize that the rising of the sun can greet them, can envelop them like a hug, that their feet on the ground is this sense of being held, this unconditional love, this sense of belonging and safety.
Nice. I think number one thing is just if everybody had, we just give everybody the money and then
Yeah,
everybody's abundant and they don't have to stress out about work or survival. And then they
yeah,
can go out in nature. But also the other thing that occurs to me is to rework the cities. So there's nature throughout the cities because that's the big problem. People, there's people that never leave the city.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we could work on something really incredible if we had all the money in the world, couldn't we, David?
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Okay, so tell us about your presentation.
Well, I'm talking about sound from a little bit of a different perspective. So, we talked about quantum biology, and that is really one of the things that I'm talking about in this video. I'm talking about how sound works through the body. Some of the research was sound, but really I'm talking about this water network that we have of specialized liquid crystalline water in the body that acts as this cymatic backdrop for sound healing and the effects of sound to work.
Excellent. Let's check it out. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Hello, my name is Dr. Catherine Clinton. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician here in Oregon, and I'm really excited to be joining you today to talk all about sound. My interest in sound actually came from my healing journey and my interest in quantum biology. When I was in my second year of naturopathic school, I was diagnosed with two autoimmune conditions, Hashimoto thyroiditis and ulcerative colitis. I was also diagnosed with Lyme disease. It was that second year of school, very long clinic hours, having to be there early in the morning, and my nervous system just didn't have the foundation to weather that kind of stress. And that's when I found quantum biology, new emerging evidence that waves of vibration help guide biological action. The smallest pieces of life, electrons, photons, the vibrations from sound, all impact the smallest pieces of our biology in our mitochondria, our DNA, our protein, our enzymes, and they can give energy for biological action as well as information to help guide that action. And it was the early 2000s that we really saw that there are quantum mechanics at play in living systems. This was something that scientists had said was impossible for decades and decades. Scientists usually study quantum mechanics in a laboratory. They cool everything down to almost absolute zero where no life can exist. They shield it from any sound, any vibration. And the critique of quantum biology, the study of quantum mechanics in living systems, was that the living system of the human body is too wet, it's too noisy, it's too chaotic. And they found just the opposite. It is that beautiful song of a living body that creates the perfect backdrop for quantum biology, for this language of frequency and resonance in the body, where our cells, our proteins, our enzymes are communicating with waves of vibration. And in those waves of vibration, hold energy and information. Sound is an incredibly powerful therapy. It is non-invasive and it can travel through the entire body. Now, this is something that is not new to humanity. Almost every indigenous ancient culture spoke of sound and its ability to organize matter and give birth to life. We see that in ancient Egyptian texts, we see that in Chinese medicine, we see that in the Buddhist texts, this idea of a conch shell being used to sing this song that births life here on earth. We see that in the ancient Vedic texts, as well as some of the mythology coming out of the Americas, South America and North America, that life is being birthed out of sound. This incredible understanding that sound, and what is sound? Sound creates these spheres of vibration, and we measure them in pressure waves of sound, right? We measure them in hertz, and each pressure wave holds a unique energy and information. And when we're looking at the body, and especially in quantum biology, when we're looking at things like light, like the energy and information held in an electrical field or a magnetic field, electromagnetic field, scalar field, the quantum field, the energy of our thoughts and emotions, sound is a unique vibration that also holds energy and information. Now, light is something that we're starting to understand as having a foundational impact on our body. We are circadian beings. The light in our environment, the natural rising and setting of the sun, coordinates action in almost every single cell of the body. But light only penetrates so deep into the body. Sound can go all the way through the body. It is incredibly powerful. And when we look at the effects of sound on the body, what we see is this incredible dance between water and sound. Now, this idea that these pressure waves of sound create light is an incredible new understanding of what's happening with sound and the body. These pressure waves of sound work through a medium. Now, that can be air, that can be anything it's working through. And in the body, what we're looking at primarily is water. And as sound, these pressure waves of sound work through a medium, they create inelastic collisions of the atoms that are in that medium. And that creates light in the infrared spectrum. Now, we know that infrared energy has a powerful effect on our mitochondria. Mitochondria are those little organelles inside of our cells that create energy. And through the work of researchers like Douglas Wallace and his colleagues, we know that every modern disease out there is associated with a dip in mitochondrial function. So if our mitochondria aren't making energy, we suffer. We start to see symptoms, illness, and disease onset. This makes light a powerful influence on the body and a non-invasive way to affect health. But nobody's really talking about how sound can create light in the body. So not only are we getting the effects of sound, but sound is actually creating light in the body, which can support mitochondrial health. When we look at sound, cymatics is the study of sound and vibration, as well as the patterns that emerge from the influence of sound. Hans Jennings was one of the pioneers in this field. He took metal plates and put different substances on them, like sand, dirt, and he looked at the mandala geometric patterns that would arise from certain frequencies. These frequencies had their own unique geometric pattern. And when we're talking about sound, it has an organizing principle to it. It is able to organize the medium that it is going through. And like I just mentioned before, we are mostly water. When you look at the body, 65 to 70% of the body by weight is water. If we were to line up all the molecules in the body, because the water molecule is so small, it makes up almost 98% molecular count of what's in the body. We are truly water beings. So when we're talking about how sound healing works, how sound therapies work, we have to wrap our heads around how sound influences the water in the body. Now, this is the work of John Stuart Reed. He invented the cymoscope. He is a dear friend and an incredible pioneer, again, in this world of cymatics, in this world of the invisible blueprint of sound made visible by cymatics. And the cymoscope is this device where you have a small cuvette of water. You place it in the cymoscope and you expose it to different frequencies of sound. And those sounds create different geometric patterns. One of the most incredible research studies I've seen John do was out of this partnership with a research team looking at echolocation with the dolphins. And they took somebody in a research tank and they were trying to record these echolocations, right? They had this diver in the scuba gear and they were recording these different echolocations. What John did was he played those echolocations back in the cymoscope to see what cymatic pattern they discovered. Now, What he found with that particular echolocation where the diver was in the tank with the dolphin, they found that the cymatic pattern of that echolocation was a replica of that diver. From the scuba gear to the tank on the back to how his hands were positioned, when they played that echolocation to the water in the cymoscope, rather than this beautiful geometric pattern we see here in front of us, it formed the cymatic pattern of this diver. Absolutely incredible. John Stuart Reid has also recorded some of the low frequency sounds that come out of these deep, deep underwater vents. And these vents have been proposed as the site for the first signs of life here on Earth. And what he found was another mind-blowing discovery. He found that when he played that low frequency sound of the bubbling of the heat and the water through these vents, these natural vents, he found that that sound created certain cymatic patterns, like a trilobite, right? Those ancient, prehistoric, the very first signs of life on this earth. Absolutely incredible. John Stuart Reid and Sunjul G out of Rutgers University here in the States did many research studies on how sound affects the blood. What they found is, again, this low frequency sound. And where do we find low frequency sound? We find it in different instruments. We find it in the didgeridoo. We find it in song and sound baths, in gongs. We find it in harps, in pianos. All of these things have a component of the sound spectrum that is a low frequency sound. And John Stuart Reid and Professor Sunjul G found that this low frequency sound actually causes changes in the red and white blood cells in our body. So what they did is they took a bag of donated blood from the blood bank and they put it in that cuvette, right? That small glass container that they then put in the cymoscope. And they were expecting classical music to be the most pronounced in the effects that music might have on our blood cells. But what they found was something quite different. They found it was low frequency sound, and the impact of low frequency sound on our body was absolutely incredible. They found that when you take donated blood from a blood bank, or even the blood circulating through our body, you can find red blood cells in three different categories: healthy, vital red blood cells that are transporting oxygen throughout the body. The second category are blood cells that are slightly damaged, but they're still doing work, just at a lesser capacity. And the third category of blood cells are those that are severely damaged or dead and not functioning in the way that they should. What they found was that middle category, that category of cells that were still functional but damaged and not working the way they should, they found that those cells actually created this incredible relationship with low frequency sound. The low frequency sound, and we're talking 10 minutes, just 10 minutes of low frequency sound was able to repair those damaged cells and increase the overall oxygen binding capacity of those red blood cells. And that's incredible. This non-invasive therapy that can help repair cells, red blood cells, and have them carry vital oxygen more readily throughout the body. Absolutely incredible. Sound has such a powerful effect in the body. And how is that working? What's happening with that mechanism? Because those red blood cells are completely covered in a special kind of water. Now, this is the work of Gerald Pollack. Gerald Pollack is a professor and runs the Pollack Laboratory out of the University of Washington. And he's the author of The Fourth Phase of Water. And he was the first to identify a second phase of liquid water. Now, we're used to talking about a solid phase of water, ice, gaseous phase of steam, or the liquid water that we drink out of a glass. What Pollack and his team out of the University of Washington found was that there is another phase of water. When water comes in contact with hydrophilic surfaces, that means a water-loving surface. So the water can come right up to the surface. It's not repelled away. It's not hydrophobic. It's water-loving, so the water comes right up to the surface. And when it does, something incredible happens. It changes structure. It becomes more gel-like. It becomes more viscous. And our cell membranes, our tissues, our fascia, our fascia creates this body-wide web connecting every structure in the body. Our DNA, all of these things are hydrophilic or water-loving and allow water to come right up to their surface and go through this organizational change. It becomes, the water that lines them becomes more gel-like, more viscous. Pollack proposes that it takes on a lattice formation, like a honeycomb, a hexagonal lattice. And he found that the water takes on a different structure from the H2O that we're used to thinking about, right? That oxygen with the two hydrogens hooked onto it. It takes on a different structural formation that is able to exclude particles. So it takes on this organization and pushes out any particles. He calls it the exclusion zone water. And as we see here, this hexagonal lattice formation starts to form against our cell membranes, our fascia, our DNA, our tissue, like a honeycomb. And as it builds, it pushes out a positively charged proton or hydrogen. So we have this water against our cells, and Pollack and many other researchers have found that it is negatively charged. It has a negative electrical charge, and our cells run on a negative electrical charge. So this easy liquid crystal water forms on the outside of our cells. It's negatively charged, electrically negatively charged, and it's pushing out a positively charged hydrogen. And that separation of charge between that negatively charged easy water that is surrounding our cells and that positively charged water that starts to form right outside of the easy water zone, that separation of charge, just like the separation of charge we would find in a 9-volt battery, creates potential energy. Pollack in the laboratory put an electrode in the negatively charged water that's right against the cell, and one in the positively charged water that forms right outside of that. And that separation of charge was enough to light an LED light bulb. And what he found, and many others have replicated, is that it is infrared energy that builds this water battery within us, this source of energy that isn't dependent on food. And as we said a few slides back, sound is capable of creating infrared energy. As pressure waves of sound move through a medium, they create inelastic collisions of the molecules in that medium, and that creates infrared energy. So we have this incredible potential for sound waves from sound healing and sound therapies to create infrared energy, building this battery of potential energy. Absolutely incredible. Another thing that this structure of water does is it acts as an antenna for frequency information. Now, frequency is a term that gets tossed around a lot, right? But what we really are talking about is vibration, vibratory energy and information. This water is able to capture that energy and information, store that energy and information, and transmit and emit that energy and information back into the body. So the work of people like Hans Jennings and John Stewart Reed looking at cymatics now have an incredible medium in the body that is able to take the energy and information of a certain frequency of sound, capture it, store it, even amplify it for the body to utilize. Absolutely incredible. As we just talked about, we have here that gray layer of our fascia, our DNA, perhaps a cell membrane, and that negatively charged EZ water that builds on its surface. And right outside, as this graphic shows us, is the positively charged water that forms right outside of us. This is a graphic representation of what we just talked about, that water battery that exists within us as a perfect backdrop for the energy and information that sound holds. This incredible dance that sound and water can play in a human body, creating light, creating energy, creating information that is transferred to this specialized water in the body. Now, you might be asking, how do we get this water inside of us? Because pairing this idea of water in the body, acting as a cymatic backdrop for the effects of sound healing, sound baths, sound interventions and therapies, we really have to ask the question, how do we build this specialized water in the body? Well, the first way is hydration, right? If we are dehydrated, we're not going to have that water to act as this cymatic billboard that is carrying that energy and information throughout the body. So hydration is really important when we're working with our clients and patients and people with sound baths and sound healing, making sure that they are hydrated and understand the benefits of being hydrated. It's really important. And one of the important things with hydration is adding minerals to our water so that that water can come into the body. Water follows minerals. So a lot of people you'll hear nowadays are drinking a lot of water, but still feeling dehydrated. That's because the water that we're drinking doesn't have mineralization. It doesn't have energy in it. So having a glass of water that or whatever water we're drinking that has some kind of mineral content in it, and it doesn't have to be huge, just some mineral content allows for that osmosis, allows for the water to come into the system, into that extracellular matrix, and into the cell, acting as this backdrop for sound healing. Now, how do we build this specialized water network that starts at the surface of our skin and works all the way down to the inside of our bones? This water network builds with infrared energy, just like Gerald Pollack and his team out of the University of Washington found. It's infrared energy that builds this water, and infrared energy is all around us. There is the biggest source of infrared energy is our sun. So getting safe sun exposure is a wonderful way to increase that water battery inside of us, that cymatic backdrop for sound healing. And it doesn't have to be a beautiful day. In fact, sitting in the shade or those gray, cloudy days of winter, we are enveloped in infrared energy. That infrared energy goes right through those leaves of a tree and completely envelop our body. And this is a wonderful way to help build this potential water battery. Getting outside is the bottom line. Getting outside can help get us that infrared energy to build that water battery. Movement, when we move, and again, this doesn't have to be extreme like Olympic training, it can be stretching, qigong, tai chi. It can be a gentle walk. It can be a gentle dance. All of these things create infrared energy in the body and can help build this potential energy battery, this water battery. A warm bath or a sauna, that warmth is infrared energy. And again, it helps build that water battery. Snuggling up to your loved one or your favorite pet on a couch, throwing a blanket over yourself, creating a little more heat is introducing infrared energy into the system and building that cymatic backdrop for sound healing to transmit through the body. Warm foods and beverages. Right now, we are headed into fall and winter. It's a wonderful time to transition from some of the colder foods that we use to cool off during the summer to those nice warm teas and beverages and stews and stocks and broths that hold infrared energy and can transfer that to the body. Have you ever been eating a warm soup or drinking a warm beverage and it actually heats you up? You have to take off your coat or your outer layer. That's the infrared energy transferring into the body. Anything that we can do for mitochondrial support. Our mitochondria make infrared energy as well. So all of these things that we were just talking about, movement, sunlight, saunas, any kind of nutritional support for the mitochondria, even good thoughts and meditation, those help mitochondrial function and can help the organizing of the water in this potential battery in the body, helping with that cymatic backdrop of sound healing in the body. Absolutely incredible. And when we're looking at how sound impacts the body and impacts our health, remembering that we are predominantly water becomes important because sound travels 4 times faster in water. When sound strikes the skin, it encounters these hydrated proteins or these proteins covered with that liquid crystal water. It creates a conduction of energy and can change the electrical properties of the tissue. The research team out of the Niels Bohr Institute found that nerve conduction begins actually with sound first. We're used to thinking of neurons with the head of the neuron and the tail down into the synapse. There's an electrical conduction, and that causes things to happen in the synapse, and it can be translated onto the next neuron. We think of that in terms of electricity. What these researchers found was that it's actually sound that creates that first impulse of electricity. So our fascia, Our fascia is this body-wide web in the body, and it is completely covered on the inside and on the outside with fascia. And it is covering our nerves, and it runs through our nerves as well. And sound can encounter that nerve. So when we're exposed to a sound wave, it creates this electrical current because our fascia is piezoelectric. Just like a quartz crystal, when we compress a quartz crystal, when a quartz crystal is exposed to mechanical waves, pressure waves, it creates an electrical current because it's piezoelectric. Same thing with our fascia. So when our fascia is exposed to sound, it creates an electrical current. And that is what these researchers have found as the basis for that electrical conduction in our nervous system. One of the reasons why sound is such a powerful therapy is that it influences our vagus nerve. When we hear sound through our ears, it first vibrates this tragus of our ear, and that sends a calming signal to our vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve that we have. It houses the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, we have two different nervous systems in our body. We have the parasympathetic nervous system that is in charge of rest, digest, and repair in the body. And we have the sympathetic nervous system. That nervous system is our fight, flight, alert, danger mode of the nervous system. Our vagus nerve houses that parasympathetic nervous system. And the vagus nerve innervates all these different things in our body, from our sight, hearing, our respiratory breathing system, our heart, our digestive system. And sound can help tone that vagus nerve. It can help shunt us into a parasympathetic state in the body. And so many of us in modern life are living a sympathetic dominant life. We're constantly in that fight or flight mode. From the second that alarm clock goes off in the morning, rushing to get to work, dealing with a society that values productivity over rest and connection, all the way till we get home and are dealing with some of the frictions of what we are seeing in the news and the events of today. All of that primes us to stay in that fight or flight mode. When we're in that fight or flight mode, our cells can't come back to a state of rest and repair, that parasympathetic state. Now, our cells can't heal if they don't get in that mode of safety that comes from the parasympathetic nervous system being dominant. If we stay in that sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze mode, our cells don't have a chance to repair. We don't get into that deep healing. We must be in that parasympathetic mode in order for us to heal. And that is a beautiful thing that happens with sound healing. That capacity for sound to tone the vagus nerve and shunt us into a state of safety where the vagus nerve and that parasympathetic nervous system becomes dominant, and we can finally get in that state of rest, repair, and safety. That is the state where we heal. That is what's necessary for healing. And that's such a beautiful thing that sound healing offers. It offers that window into cellular deep repair and healing. Sound and pain is another wonderful thing that allows us a non-invasive way to treat pain. Pain, we are in an epidemic of opioid use here in the States, at least, because people are dealing with such chronic pain. And pain can become this loop where we feel pain, we stub our toe, that sends that pain signal, that pressure wave of pain up through our nerves, that piezoelectric conduction through our fascia, creating an electrical current that tells the brain that we are in pain. It tells the frontal lobe that we are in pain. It also tells the limbic system, our emotional brain, that we are in pain. And when that neurological route becomes chronic, when we feel that pain over and over again, when an injury doesn't heal, let's say, that pain can get reversed so that when we are in that sympathetic dominant state, when we're in that fight, flight, overstressed, overwhelmed state, we can actually trigger the limbic system of the brain to tell our prefrontal cortex that we feel pain in our toe, even though we didn't stub our toe, right? This loop of pain is not only physical, but it's emotional as well. And that relationship we just talked about with the vagus nerve and the ability of sound to help soothe the nervous system is really important when it comes to pain. Another thing that's important when it comes to sound and pain is this gate control theory, where pain opens the pain gates between the nerves and the brain. And so pain is traveling unfettered, these signals of pain up into the brain. What gets those pain signals or those pain gates to close is pressure. Think about it. Have you ever hit your elbow on something? The first thing we do is we grab that elbow. We try to stop that vibration of pain. Same concept. The pain is shut down by pressure waves of sound. This could be one of the ways that sound is working to decrease people's pain, to help close those pain gates and decrease the symptoms of pain. And pain is something that affects so many different people, and to have sound working on two different levels, both the nervous system, vagus nerve level, but also the actual physical level of this gate control where they can close those signals of pain going up into the brain. Absolutely incredible. And to think that this is happening through that water body within us, that water battery. Our fascia, these nerves, are completely covered in that liquid crystal water that acts as an antenna for these pressure waves of sound. It acts as that metal plate that Jennings used for his cymatic studies, right? Or more apt maybe is to compare it to the water in the cuvettes that John Stewart Reed is using in his cymoscope. That's exactly what's happening in the body. We talked a little bit about the vagus nerve and sound and how it improves vagal tone, right? And this vagus nerve is intimately connected with inflammation. So when we see low vagal tone, we see an increase in inflammation. We want that vagus nerve to be balanced, to have high tone, and sound can do that. And inflammation is something that's associated with every disease state we know. Every single one has a relationship with inflammation. And high vagal tone is associated with lower inflammation. Sound can increase that vagal tone, thus helping to lower inflammation. Absolutely incredible. We know that some of the sound therapies of natural sound bird song, water moving, rain falling. All of these things can help improve the mood, acting through that parasympathetic nervous system, acting through that vagus nerve. Sound is an absolutely incredible and underutilized by mainstream medicine therapy. It's non-invasive. The side effects are very low, especially if we're keeping those decibels low, so there's no damage, right? This form of sound, this low frequency sound that we've been talking about, it can impact our mood. It can impact our pain levels. It can impact our nervous system, our vagus nerve, our parasympathetic nervous system, as well as our inflammation. It can impact our pain. It can impact the capacity of our red blood cells, their lifespan, their vitality, their ability to transport oxygen through the body, which is incredibly necessary, right? That is the first thing that we can't live without. We can go a while without food, a while without water, but we can't go very long without oxygen. And to think that sound is working on all these different levels and that it is being mediated through this water body in the body is absolutely just an incredible new understanding of how the body works. It is so exciting to think that sound can be working on so many different levels. And it really comes back to this idea that so many different ancient indigenous cultures spoke of, that sound was the first thing in the universe, right? We see that not in only in ancient indigenous cultures, but we see that in religious traditions as well, that the word was what created life here on earth. Sound is a powerful, non-invasive way to affect health in the body. Like we said, it affects our nervous system, it affects pain, it affects our state of inflammation in the body, it impacts our has the potential to impact our cells in the body. And it wasn't just red blood cells, it was white blood cells as well. Now, they don't carry oxygen throughout the body. White blood cells are the cells of our immune system. And the research from John Stewart Reed and Sunjul G found that low frequency sound, like we see in sound baths, in pianos, in harps, in didgeridoos, in gongs. These types of low frequency sounds help repair and increase the lifespan and vitality of our white blood cells, which would directly impact our ability to have a robust and healthy functioning immune system. I'm so excited that I got the chance to talk to you today a little bit about this quantum biology view of how sound is working through the body, right? We are sort of this cymatic water antenna that is able to pick up on these pressure waves of sound. And each wave of sound holds its unique frequency, its unique energy and information that the body can utilize for better health. It's an absolutely incredible world, and I'm so excited that I got the chance to share that with you today. Thank you so much.
Excellent. So much information that's really interesting. Um, there's a couple of things I've want to ask you and also add to. Um, you're talking about how pressure waves, which are, you could just say sound going through the body,
Mhm.
and any energy actually holds energy and information.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the whole thing is the quality of the energy and information.
Yes.
And the main thing I've talked about in my book is three different levels of quality. One is at the frequency level, coherence versus chaos.
Yes.
At the musical interval level, where you've got multiple frequencies, it's harmony
Yes.
versus dissonance.
Yeah.
At the musical flow level, which is often the 11 medical systems, or even the flow within a cell, it's smooth flow versus rough flow. And that could be even the
Absolutely.
spin of an atom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That unobstructed flow. Absolutely.
But
Yes.
it's really interesting because when you look at it from the geometry perspective, it's really the exact same. It's coherence,
Mhm.
harmony, and flow. And coherent, but geometry gets really detailed, which includes cymatics, right?
Yeah.
And so, first of all, coherence is just often a symmetrical image that's got very symmetrical and mathematical correspondences between the sides of the parts, of the geometry, or just a beautiful pattern, which is so complex it's hard to even map it out mathematically.
Mhm.
And that's what's really interesting because in that world, it gets really complex. In fact, the left brain can hardly handle
Yeah. Yeah.
it. So we just go,
Absolutely.
whoa, cool, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so it's interesting because it's really the and then any frequency is coherent if you just play a frequency normally, unless you're not
Mhm.
doing chaos, or any sound is, I mean, is basically going to be coherent. So most of the stuff we're using is already coherent or harmonious and flowing. So
Mhm.
it's interesting when you start looking at, okay, the cell.
Mhm.
First of all, what frequency is right for, or the mitochondria is just one part of the cell, but it's the main engine, right?
Yeah.
So we could find the frequency that makes that mitochondria work better,
Mhm.
or we can look at the whole system and the flow within the cell, but not only the flow within the cell, the flow through the membrane, which is not only from other blood and other things and toxins in the body, but also all of the toxins and things from emotions and thought forms, and not to mention cosmos.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that I think that's where I focus most because like you said, the frequencies are out there and they're beautiful and perfect, right? That the harmonics are out there. But what we have a hard time with as humans is that rough flow or that obstructed flow of the energy. And we can affect that in the body. We can affect how the energy flows through the DNA, through the cell membrane, through the fascial web, right? That starts at our skin and goes all the way down to our bones, connecting every structure. We can really affect those. And that's where I see as a naturopathic doctor the most issues is that there is some obstacle there creating that rough flow, as you put it.
Hmm. It's so
Yeah.
interesting because, John Stuart Reed, of course, talks about the Raman spectroscopy, where he can actually measure the entire frequency content of a cell scientifically.
Mhm.
And but it's only in vitro, it's only out of the body.
Right.
Where I've heard there's a light microscope that doctors use where you can actually find the frequency content in the body.
So incredible.
So
Yeah.
we could actually map the notes of
Mhm.
each of the nodes within a system, or even map all of the notes and entire frequency content of the cell, and not only play its frequency or all its frequencies to it, but play a song to it that is flowing exactly the way that mitochondria would be, or the whole relationship of the mitochondria and the energy flowing through the mitochondria and all the different parts of the cell down to the atomic level.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of like Fabian Mauman or Joel Sternheimer and that idea of working it from the opposite way, right? Where you're constructing how that atom works and how together they form this song, but being able to do it from the opposite side, from the body out, right? In vitro and construction, like they were doing it, is much different than being able to go into the body and get that living song, so to speak.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I think what is cool is to work at all the levels. So we go down to the cellular level, the construction of the whole system, but also work at the emotional, mental level, and even spiritual level. I think there's a component that we haven't even touched that many spiritual leaders talk about because
Yeah.
it's not scientific, and that is the connection to your soul
Yes.
and
Yeah.
source.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
I mean, because once you open up that, oh my God, it's like you don't have to do anything.
Yep. That,
It just goes, here you go.
exactly. That direct transmission. Absolutely.
So there's one thing that was interesting you said because with the research of John Stuart Reed, and I talked to him in detail about this, about how sound affects the blood, where he's got the blood counters and looking at, and he kind of OD'd the blood counter, right? He got so many happy blood cells that it couldn't count it anymore and it shut down, right? Well, what he studied was a few, like 4 or 5 different styles of music.
Mhm.
And he found that pop music was the most effective.
Yeah.
And his guess was it was the bass frequencies. But I think it's more the rhythm. And
Mm.
I think it's the beat, which would be exactly your heart, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's the beat. But I think this is my guess, and this is where we're headed in some research, is to look at the actual rhythm of your metabolism, which we
Mm.
do now. I've been for 10 years finding a person's metabolism, and then we can match your natural beat. And then the question is, how much bass do we have? I mean, the work of Olaf Skile, they did 20 years of research, not on blood cells, but on muscles and found and different organs and found that they have very specific mapping of different bass frequencies for the sound table for different organs. I mean, really serious research. And then, of course, there's the research of Peter Guy Manners, and he used no bass. No bass at all. I actually have created the frequencies and octavized them down so it can be vibrated with a little bass strap that actually vibrates, or a vest or a sound table. But there was no bass. So it's interesting. So I was thinking about this morning. I was kind of just getting downloads on the hierarchy of what's most important. Is it the cell, the blood, the whole organ, the emotions, I mean, the mental thoughts? I mean, it's really, there's a whole hierarchy. My thing always is go for them all, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the more ways you lead a horse to water, the more chances it'll drink. But maybe I kind of start thinking that the cell, if we can heal a cell, that heals the blood, all the other parts above it. Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, the cell is really that transducer, right? That's taking all that information in and changing it into the form it needs to be in, the energy, the instructions for the cell on what it's going to do. So, yeah, the cell is incredible. Sometimes I think if we just zoomed out of all of it and didn't know what the cell was, didn't know all these names, it would just be this flow of energy and information through these kind of liquid crystal structures, right? These structures that can flex and move, but still maintain their integrity. Maybe like a I'm not a musician, so maybe like a drum head or something that can take the vibrations, but still stay intact. And so when I kind of zoom out, I wonder if maybe we could categorize it as the body as an overall antenna, and these structures and their liquid crystal capacity to act as receivers for this energy and information and to store it sometimes, right? Because the cell membrane can be like a capacitor. It can store that information and then later transmit it. um, it's fascinating. I certainly don't have the answer. I mean, that's what is exciting, is to think about all of these things. But yeah, the cell membrane is incredible for how it influences health.
I just even talking to you, I think, I mean, Bruce Lipton talks about the actual frequency of the spin, and there's a microscope that will show the frequency of the spin in the atom of the cell,
Yeah.
which is where the quantum field really, really starts connecting more. It was funny. Last week, I woke up at 5 in the morning and I got a download, or I went into the zone of seeing everything as perfect and everything's going to work out perfectly in every way. And the whole room turned purple, and it was just white light. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. And then I woke up, I went back to sleep and woke up at 7, and it was gone. And I'm like, okay, let's pull it back together. But really, when you get to a place where it's all taken care of, there's no stress and the body works the best. So I
Yeah.
think that's like one of the number ones. I mean, running universal love's not bad, right? As well. But that leads you to it's all taken care of as well. But when you get a issue, then that only does so much. Sometimes it works,
Mhm.
but when what I'm really looking at is how are we going to change this medical system so it doesn't kill people?
Yeah.
And really get specific. And we can say, okay, everything's taken care of, it's all perfect. And that's going to help. But if someone's already got cancer, that may get rid of it, but not likely. Right?
Mhm.
They've already been running, not taken care of for too many years.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting. I think, okay, Bruce Lipton said no, he didn't say this. I read it. At the deepest level of quantum physics, matter goes in and out of reality 600 billion times a second. And I'm thinking, well, does different matter go at different speeds in and out of reality? I mean, that seems like the ultimate deepest frequency of all reality. And that is where we could work at and, oh my God, just show how a thought or a feeling or emotion completely makes that flow happen and more coherent.
Yeah.
Who knows
Yeah.
anything around here, really?
I know, right? But David, I do love how you're just making that distinction with rhythm and the beat.
Hmm.
Because when you look at nature, there's that fractality, there's that spiral, there's that cycle. We are cyclical, the rising and setting of the sun, the seasons, all of these different spirals onto each other, and never coming back exactly to the same spot, right? It's just a little bit over. I love how you made that distinction, because I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe that ability to flow and cycle is health, right? And the
Yeah.
rigidity where we can't do that, and we can't have that fractal kind of existence, that geometry of matter that comes out of the field, so to speak. So that's fascinating. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I've really come down to it's all way more about musical flow,
yeah.
smooth flow, without blockages than frequency. I mean, frequency is the part of the song that's the flow.
Yeah.
And a timbre or a combination of harmonic or frequencies is a part of it. The musical intervals are part of it. But the flow, the quality of the flow is the whole deal at every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. It's all about smooth flow. But that's really really hard to research because look at the gazillion possibilities of music. I mean, in my books, I map out all the musical parameters, all the of music theory, and in detail, and I've added a few myself as well. And and it's the relationships of all of those. And so, but I think that's where the research really needs to go, is what songs do we need in the South? What
Yeah.
songs do we need in your nervous system? What songs do we need in the circulatory system or the lymphatic system, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm
So,
excited that you've got this lab coming up. Let's do it. Let's
oh,
get this
oh,
research.
I have one quick question, and we'll finish up. But the question that you were talking about when water from Gerald Pollack, when water hits a surface, it becomes more gel-like, and then actually pushes out toxins, and that's
Yep.
really cool. So that doesn't really have anything to do with sound. It's more just when it happens.
Well, the thing that interaction between water and a surface, yes, that is the interaction between a surface, a water loving surface, right? So like a hydrophobic surface is going to push the water away, but that interaction is with a water loving surface like our cell membranes, like our DNA, our fascia. But water can become this phase, this easy liquid crystal water, from sound. Sound will organize the water
Hmm.
into this gel-like water. And
Okay.
not only that, but it can hold the cymatic imprint. It can hold that energy. I mean, if we really want to dive into it, that type of liquid crystal water, what's exciting about it also is that it's like a reservoir of free electrons. So when we look at the electric capacity of the body, we can pain, inflammation, disease onset, they're all associated with a dip in negative electrical charge. And this water is negatively charged and it has electrons in it that can move throughout the body. So all of a sudden, we have this water network throughout the body, and we have this source of negative electrical charge that can travel where needed to help replenish that negative charge and help with things like pain, inflammation. And sound is one way that we can affect and build that water in the body.
Which basically gives you more energy when the electricity is flowing, right?
Yeah.
Or energy at all levels of the body. It's uh, interesting because I've got to the level where I think, okay, how much sound is too much? And it's
Mhm.
like it's like, can you have too much flow? Well, at the level of love, maybe not. Although I know my friend got knocked over when Spirit showed her intense universal love. But bring it on, right? But maybe you can have too much flow, which would detox too quickly. So, and some people are really fragile. I mean, you can't do too much flow. So it seems that there needs to be a system ultimately. I mean, right now, most people need more flow.
Mhm.
Most people are stagnant and you get and or stress, which is getting in the way of the flow, and you get peaceful, and then things flow better, right?
Yeah.
So I think ultimately in the hospitals we're going to have a device that measures how much flow you can handle, how much sound through
Mhm.
the different systems you can handle.
Yeah. Incredible. I look
there's
forward to that.
there's one more thing because we're doing research on pain. And I've really gotten into it and had a really detailed discussion with John Stewart Reed about this. The one thing that I learned when I was in the hospital with appendicitis was that uh, the nerves can only handle one piece of information.
Mhm.
If you fill it up with
Yeah.
sound, there's no more pain.
Yeah.
So we're looking at finding the frequency of each of the nerves. But the other thing that's really interesting is, you know, John talks about putting pressure on a spot that can help with the pain. I think it's more than that. This is
Mhm.
my guess. Again, who knows anything, but this is what I've checked out. And I once had a hurt my leg, and I was with a chiropractor, and he immediately did a little adjustment and rubbed it, right? And and if you do that immediately after you get hurt, whether it's a burn or a bruise or a bump or anything, if you start rubbing it, it's like you get a different frequency in there than the ah. And
Yeah.
when the goes on too long, there's a whole mechanisms that kick in, inflammation and then stress in your brain, which makes the
Yeah.
pain worse. God
Yeah.
kind of blew it on this whole pain thing, right? I mean, it's a mess. I mean, okay, we need to know there's something wrong, but we don't need to die, and we don't need to get more pain just because we got pain. It's
Yeah.
so what I've found is any rubbing is a frequency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you ever get a bump or a pain, uh, immediately before, right as it happens, rub it really
Yeah.
quickly, because then you put a different frequency into it as opposed to that chaos that creates all types of other problems.
Oh, I totally agree. My husband is a glass blower, and when we first met, I tried to be a glass blower for a little bit. And you get burned, right? It really hurts. And that's what he says. He says, just do something else with that spot. Like immediately do something else with it.
Uh-huh.
Whether it's like rubbing it, moving your fingers, do
Right.
something else that tells the brain, no, it's not that pain signal, it's this other signal, you know?
Right.
This
I,
other frequency. Yeah.
I had my friend, we were at a workshop in Mount Shasta, and she got burnt on a stove or fireplace, and we put a tuning fork right on it immediately. And then about 3 hours later, she burnt another finger, and we didn't put a tuning fork on it. And the next day, the one with the tuning fork was healed, and the other one was all blistered.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Incredible.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your work and expertise in everything you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. It was a privilege to be here. David, thank you for all your work and everything you do and all you're putting out into the world. We need it, and I'm so glad that you're doing it. So thank you.
Oh, thanks so much.
So hello, this is going to be a transmission of the light language, sound language, with my voice. My name is Dorota. Welcome. Just relax and absorb the channeling of frequency that is already starting through my words.
Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have Dorota Rozmus. Hi, Dorota.
Hello, hello, David. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Welcome, welcome. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, I'm following the sun, so just just absorbing as much light and working within myself. This is truly very much the story at the moment, I believe, for everybody. We need to just open and clear and open and clear as much as possible. So I'm working with the groups, I'm working with the grids, I'm working with the light, I'm working with Gaia deeply at the moment. Yeah.
Excellent. So Dorota is a renowned vibrational healer and alchemist of sound and light codes. As a divine love channel and embodiment of the Divine Mother archetype, she radiates unconditional love vibrations, fostering profound healing and transformation across all aspects of your being. With a strong musical background and a degree in vocal performance, Dorota's expertise encompasses both classical and jazz genres. Hailing from Poland, her unique upbringing has infused her with resilience and power, enabling deep inner child healing and the embrace of feminine and motherly energies. Leveraging her exceptional gift of sound and voice, she decodes distorted patterns and expertly coaches her clients through transformation. Her comprehensive online offerings include one-on-one sessions, group classes, healers coaching courses, events, and recorded activations, reaching and healing individuals from all corners of the globe. Her vibrational work transcends various levels of divine human awakening, solidifying her reputation as a highly sought-after healer and energy coach. Welcome, welcome. So here's the big question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people?
That's a good question. Big question, I would say. First, when you say that, it comes to me, what if it is not about money? What if all that I am doing and we are doing is perfectly the way it's supposed to be? And yes, I've been avoiding these lower frequencies that trying to distort you because of the money. So I've been very careful about that in my life, consciously or not consciously, for a long time, because I come from the culture where we didn't have anything. I was born in a socialist, communist kind of frequencies. So yeah, there was no money and we were not thinking about money. But we had a sound, we had music, I was going to other schools, I had my friends, I had my family. And when I emigrated to Australia, somebody asked me, what people in Poland know about being free? And then I answered that the freedom is when you look at the flower, when you can really enjoy the simple things of nature, of everything. So I would say the same thing to you now, that the money is energy. So if I and when I will open completely to my divine self, to divine Gaia, and we are clearing the stories, we are clearing the horizontal timelines, then we are going to be rich in the frequency. We are going to be so rich, we are going to be so powerful, because everything will be happening the way that our divine selves orchestrated that for us already. So it is here, it is opening. And what I will do when it is opening more, I would just walk among people. I would walk into everybody who would like to feel open hearts. I would like to hug everybody. I would like to just be on a road to truly love whoever would like to receive. It is not about helping, it is about sharing the frequency. This is what I would do.
I love it. It's really interesting because if you think, okay, if everybody's abundant, and nobody's struggling for anything, for food or shelter or anything. And everybody's got health care that doesn't kill you, right? Sound, right? And then what do we do then? It's like really all it is about running love
Yeah,
and create creativity. It's like let's have and fun.
isn't it? Yeah, it's about sharing. But when we think about the sound, it's a beautiful way we can communicate about this because, you know, like you're a musician, I am a musician, and the most beautiful thing is when the musicians get together and they say, okay, let's create something. Yeah, let's create something. So we are playing different sounds and we are jamming. Yes, we are creating something. So this is what will going to happen with everybody. We are just going to create because somebody will say something or somebody will smile to you, and we are creating different frequency immediately. So we are seeing the bird, and the bird is communicating with us, and we feel it through the heart space. And then, wow, we are creating with the bird, and there is a different sound, different colors, and everything. I just feel it so much. I'm so excited about this new earth. And I know at this moment it doesn't really look like this, but we are here to hold this truth. We have to stand up and just hold this truth because this is where we are going, this way or another, or how many years, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so tell us about your presentation.
My presentation is about frequency, because we know that everything is the sound, truly everything is the vibration, everything is the frequency. But my presentation is also to remind you and to share with the audience that there is the sound that you cannot hear with your physical eyes and ears. You cannot hear it because it's the higher octave, and a higher octave. And this sound is the light, the sound is the colors of creation, the sound is our heart space. And we are learning how to bridge the sound through the body, just listening very carefully, very, very gently listening to this frequency, because this higher light is the sound, is the symphony that we are. We are the symphony, but we cannot hear it yet, but we are working on it. Yeah, so this is what I am sharing through this presentation.
Excellent. Let's check it out. We'll talk on the other side. Okay.
So hello everyone. My name is Dorota Rozmus. I welcome you. I wanted to speak today about what is frequency, how can we transform, translate, and bring the frequency of light and higher system of our higher selves through our voice, through your voice, through my voice, because this is what I use to create changes in my audience's energy field. So let's take a breath, because as you can see, I am moving my hands. This is already energy that I move around me, and through this it helps me to use energy to speak through into you. And so you know that I am not English speaking person. English is not my first language, but the language of light, the language of intuition, language of our frequencies that we speak into each other is very much so opening now to our understanding, to our consciousness, because without words I am also speaking to you. Each breath that you take, that I take, we are taking with the consciousness and with the frequency of 5 elements of Gaia: air, ether, water, fire. Everything that crystal grid of Gaia is giving us up into our system. We are rebuilding our human energy with Gaia because our body is connected to her. So the frequency that we are receiving from Gaia and from universe, from your divine self, from our divine selves, we are absorbing through the frequencies, through the vibration. So the language that we speak to each other, it is only help to adjust our mind to something that we want to express. But once we are opening now more and more to just listen, something that is not the words that connect us to the brain, we are opening ourselves to listen to the frequencies. And of course, there are many different frequencies. They are all around us. They are all talking to us all the time. And how do we choose which frequency is correct for our nervous system, for our inner body, for our healing? If we need to heal parts of our physical body or bring to our mind and bring to our energy system more healing, we need to observe how the frequency is working, how we are connecting ourselves to the frequencies that are true to our higher vibrational system. And I'm moving my hands because I already create this holographic frequency for each one of you who will be listening to these words. We are already creating the frequency. Creating, that's a good word. Yes, I am moving the frequency. I am moving frequency using my words, but I'm using energy. I am using sound that you cannot hear at this moment. In a minute, I will be also using sound that we call music through the sound of my voice, but I am also visualizing with my higher self how I want to project love, light, and harmony into my listeners, because I choose through my heart and through my deeper understanding that this is my choice of creation. And it is very much so my belief that we are all beautiful beings of light, and we are creating through the frequency of our higher selves and the higher system of divine crystal Gaia. We are creating a different system of the body, and it is very much so work done by the frequency understanding, frequency navigation, frequency movement that we are learning how to use. So let's just go deeper into this. And let's take a breath together. So what you can do with me now, you can choose, you can use the choice as the frequency, and you can use your own system of thinking, system of feeling, creation of your feeling, not emotions, higher frequency of your feeling, thinking together is the consciousness. And the frequency that we create together is my vision that I hold for all of us. This vision is to see the beautiful human and the energy around the human body as the beautiful, colorful system of connection, creating the new matrix, you may say, the new connection of the higher system that is organic to the cosmic truth of divine love. And this system is organic to you, your higher self. And this system is organic to the heart of Gaia and her crystal grid, which means Gaia in her truth is the vibration, is the frequency without all this matrix, negative thinking, lower vibration of fear. Gaia is not this. This is not her original truth. All the fear, doubt, fights, wars, and difficult situations that we all went through, they are all creation of fearful mind, and we are learning to decode this system. There is more to it, of course, as you know, but I'm sure you are aware of many things. What my work today is, and my explanation of how I work with the frequency, is to understand that the choice is your frequency, that your choice is your creation, and this choice has the frequency in it, has this vibrational movement. So you can have different choices or the same choice, but the same choice can have a different colors in it, different light system in it. So when we are choosing together now that around you there is a beautiful new system of connection, bits of pieces of crystal colors connecting together and creating your new aura, your new etheric system connected to your higher system of light. This is your beautiful new matrix. And I'm asking you today to choose this with me as I hold this vision for all of us, because this is my work. I hold the frequency. I hold the higher frequency of your choice, of each one of us a choice. When we get together and we create the choice for planet, for humanity, we can choose the vision of all of us being happy, being beautiful, being in a light, being in co-creation with each other, without wars, without problems. This is our highest choice for all of us together. But each one of us, we are individually creating the frequency within our body. And this frequency building, frequency creation starts with, of course, your consciousness, which means your conscious creation of your thoughts, your conscious creation of your emotions, which are in a different frequencies as well. So the highest emotion is love, and you want to create higher and higher frequency coming from your heart. This is a different and important work as well. So the choice today is to see how you can use the sound of your breath, sound of something that you cannot hear through the ears, but you are learning how to feel the frequencies. They will start to work with you, and you will feel the vibration in you, and this is the sound. This is your frequency. Frequency is the sound in higher octaves. The octaves are so high that you cannot hear the sound, but the frequency is coming, and this frequency connects you through the light, through the colors of creation, through the sound of your own breath, your own relaxation with the choice, with the thought, with the emotions that you create. So everything starts to work for you. And when you add the conscious words that comes out of your throat, your inner body, you will create even more of the frequency. So let's hold this vision of the sound, color, light coming as the highest octave into your energy field. And when you are choosing this with me, we are holding this frequency together, and this frequency has the time, the linear time that can be adjusted, absorbed into your physical body and the space called aura and your etheric system. Okay. I'm going to use the sound and words to help us stay in this creation for a few minutes. I connect myself in my consciousness to the highest possible points of light above me, and I open my consciousness to know that I am divine self, and through my divine self many beings of light are coming and helping me with my choice. I am not alone, and you are not alone. The oneness is happening at the time that I pick up the energy, and we are both, all of us, we are creating this new system because we are choosing. Choice is also the system of opening your energy field and receiving. Yeah? Choice is the frequency that opens your energy fields and you are receiving. But to help the choice that you are creating as the frequency in you, you are creating thoughts. For example, I am opening my head, I am relaxing my head, I am opening my system to bring the highest light, love, and colors of creation into my system, so this can create the beautiful lights and colors around me. So let's do it now. We are practicing to create the choice as the frequency. I open my head, relax my head, open my system above my head to receive the highest octave of my own frequency, my own sound and colors, that I am, that I am, that I am. And when you repeat similar words, they are your beautiful vibration. They are your beautiful choice that opens the system, and the system is opening to receive through your higher self. The universe is coming to support your choice. Your choice is the frequency. So take a breath consciously into your heart space, opening. And we are speaking the words. Even if you don't speak them loud, you can speak them within. Your breath is the crystal frequency opening. Your breath is the sound. We are just creating the portal with the one sound that I visualize. When I create the sound, I visualize the portal of the vertical light. I use the sound of my voice to help myself to bridge this, what we are talking about, to bridge the highest octave of the sound that you cannot hear, but it's the frequency of the light and sound and color. So when I create this portal, I can invite this deep into my body, throughout my spine, throughout my chakras. And you can use the sound if you know how to sing, but you don't have to. Or you can just close your mouth and just very gently listen. Listen inside into your body, and this is the next step that I would like to help you with. With this first step, I wanted to remind you that there is the sound that you can hear. My words are creating the sound as well. But there is the higher and higher octave of the sound that you cannot hear. But you can work with this sound. It is the frequency of light. And you can use your mind to create possibility through your choice that you are opening yourself to bridge this higher octave of sound and light into your body by using the sound of your breath and listening and relaxing, because the relaxation is also your choice. So everything starts to be the frequency, everything starts to be the vibration, and you are looking through your relaxation, through your breath, through your choice, through your consciousness. You are opening to listen to the sound that the ears cannot listen to, cannot absorb. But your body, your system is absorbing this higher sound. And you know in your consciousness that this higher sound is something that is in beautiful harmony with your higher system of light, higher system of your higher self, that is correcting and connecting to your physical body, because you are becoming one with your higher system, your higher self. Yeah? And your higher self knows this beautiful truth that creates harmony around you. You don't have to create it completely new. You can just know that it is, and it is going to be absorbed into your system, and it is absorbing through the help that you all the time have, because it is your most true vibration. So it is automatically creating the system, but you have to choose, because you are opening through your choice to receive it. You are opening through the breath that you are consciously choosing to relax yourself. All this is absorbing your highest light, which is the sound, which is the frequency of the higher octave of the beautiful universe. Taking a breath. And now, we've been doing all the time something here, yes? Do you feel it? We've been absorbing this beautiful frequency from above you. Now we have to be aware, and we are making another choice, that we are, as the body system, we are on Earth. We are on this beautiful Earth frequency. And we can absorb the frequency in our horizontal vibration, looking at others, looking at ourselves, looking at the timelines here and here. And this is also creation. This is also frequency. This is also creating the sound. Sound that we can absorb into our system, and it doesn't make us feel good, because this horizontal sound of many thoughts and many emotions, this is the vibration that is creating this heaviness around us. So we have to be conscious of what sound you are consciously connecting to, what frequency is matching your system. Yeah? So your choice and your thoughts and your creation is connecting certain frequency, that when you look at the left and right and you see the heaviness around the world that many people are creating, the fear, for example, that this frequency does not need to be a match to your consciousness, to your body system. So you can choose that you are creating different frequency, and again, you are opening your heart, you are breathing, you are bringing the light and higher octave of your sound from your higher self. But here, things are happening. And through the observation of what you are connecting your energy system, which means the sound, which means the frequency, you are not bringing into your energy this lower frequency. If you are aware, if you are constantly observing, this is not my frequency, I choose again to pick up my frequency from my higher system. And you are observing and choosing and finding the way of the frequency to connect yourself to the heart of this beautiful planet. Because on the surface of Gaia, many things are being moved and changed. Changing the frequency is still showing the lower patterns that humanity created. So the same way we are connecting to the higher octaves of our light from above, we are also creating the connection to the higher system of Gaia and higher sound of her crystal grid. It can be a beautiful visualization if you understand that you can connect like to the sound of the crystal when we touch the crystal, and the crystal glass crystal bowl is making the sound, is the same. The frequency of Gaia is sending us all these crystal sounds. But the same way, this frequency can be of the highest octave, and you are not necessarily going to hear it through your ears. Your ears, physical ears, are not able to pick up the higher frequency of the Gaia sound. But when you are making the choice of this connection to the frequency, again in your vertical energy, and you are expanding your vertical energy of the body, and you are connecting to the heart of Gaia, using your imagination and using your choice, you are starting to absorb the crystal sound of Gaia with the colors, the same way the colors of light are coming from above you. The colors of crystal grid is coming to be absorbed in your body system, and that way you are starting to be in a higher frequency. And that way, when other person wants to listen to you, you are emanating the higher frequency of the sound and color. Even so, this person cannot hear this through the ears. The heart is able to pick up this higher frequency. And we are all going towards feeling this about each other. We are already feeling the lower frequencies of somebody often. When you go to the room and you see that, oh, this person is emanating this lower frequency, and we feel it. The same way we are learning now to feel the higher sounds that we all going to create more and more in co-creation with the crystal, beautiful crystal sound of Gaia. Isn't that wonderful? So we are holding this beautiful vision. And maybe you feel the sound of Gaia that is already coming through. And if you do the same exercise and you make the choice, you close your eyes, you use the sound of your breath and relax, make a choice of relaxation and connect yourself to the beautiful system of the crystal sound. Just make a choice that the colors of crystals, like pink and blue and yellow and the gold flowing through Gaia, and amethyst and ruby red and aquamarina and the white diamond of her heart, an emerald, beautiful emerald vibration. All these vibrations are coming through to play the song, to play the music for you. In a co-creation with your higher self, your sound is unique. Your beautiful frequency is unique. It is only you. You have your signature of the vibration of the frequency. And we can say you have the special melody, special symphony of your own system that is becoming so clear, like a beautiful crystal being touched beautiful diamond of many facets and many colors, shining like an opal that is the highest ray of creation connected to the humanity at this moment. You are this sound that you cannot hear through the physical ears, but you can hear it through your heart, through your breath, through your relaxation, and you can hear it because of your choice, because of your creation, of your choice. And now we are connecting what is coming from above, and we are connecting what is coming from below. And you are listening to the sound of your breath, loving sound of your breath. So I've created this pathway from above and from below. And I hold this vision for you. Vision and a frequency of Gaia's crystal grid, divine unconditional love that sends light, colors and sounds of the highest octave, for you to listen deeply through your heart. Listen deeply, knowing that your ears cannot pick up everything and your mind cannot understand this. But a higher system that is being created within you and around you can hear this beautiful frequency of your own unique sound that creates your harmony, your strength, feeling of belonging, feeling of knowing who you truly are. Your human self is becoming one with the higher octaves of Gaia, higher octaves of your higher selves. Your human is now part of the cosmic family, and you can call yourself divine human. Listen. Listen to your own beautiful symphony. First, you need to create the frequency of your choice to do so. And I am here with all the love that I have chosen to share with all of you. Thank you, my beautiful ones. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye for now.
It's really interesting and cool when you listen to somebody and you start feeling this energy beyond what they're saying. So you could just babble. Regardless of what you say, it's still there's like this vibration coming across, right? And that's really cool.
Exactly.
How did this start for you?
It started, of course, through the sound, because I've been a musician, and I emigrated to Australia, and I was like playing in the piano bars and singing my jazzy kind of stuff. And the people were coming and sitting around me, and they were just reacting like differently, you know. They were sharing the stories with me. They were crying, giving me gifts, and I thought, so I'm doing something more here, and I wanted to know. And then later on, I received the information through the meditation in some kind of meeting, through the sound and color. Yeah, the color was talking to me. I knew that I know something through the color. So I started to connect everything. I started to create consciously with the visualizations, with the colors, with simple things. But yeah, well, that was many years ago. But now, yeah.
So it was spontaneously through a meditation, all of a sudden the cosmos opened up?
It was the first opening. I was still, I didn't know what was really going on, but I knew it was important. No, it was somebody channeling. I went to the channeling session, and when I left the session, I went home. And suddenly I just feel that, you know, that like I know they are my angels. My angels are talking to me through the colors, and they were around me, and I could feel that colors. And I knew that it is something to do with my work, with my sound that I could also share. So it was just like, wow, I've never experienced this before. And I started to be more interested. But I still didn't know anything about meditation. I didn't know much. I was just a musician. And then but I felt like I want to do that. I want to know more. I want to share with people from the heart. I just don't want to be on the stage and, you know, trying to be pretty. I wanted to go deeper. So nice. I went back to Poland. I started to help people through my method of relaxation, and bit by bit, I've opened myself more and more to who I am now.
So, if you were to teach someone to open to these higher energies, to their higher self, to source, what would you say? What would you tell them?
When I work with people individually or in a group, I would just start, if somebody didn't know anything about, let's say, about meditation or anything, I would just say, listen to the breath, because this is the first sound that we can focus on, yeah? When we listen to the breath and we are listening to the body relaxing, and then I would also suggest, be aware how you speak. Because the same words that you speak can be in a higher frequency or the lower frequency. When I say to somebody, I love you, you know, it's a different frequency. But when I go deep and I open my heart and I say, I love you, the words are speaking, the words are the sound, yes? So they are beautiful, simple things that you can start to be aware of the sound in you and how to open, because your higher self is always there. It is just the way to also remember the vertical vibration. This is very important, and now I'm teaching this a lot. Like to open, to relax, to open, to look for the light, look for the colors, because I work with the colors of creation. and open to Gaia and her crystal grid, because this is our ascension. This is very, very important. So I open people to know in the consciousness that Gaia is the beautiful being of light, and we have to change our mind not to be afraid to be human on earth, because we are carrying so much fear being here, like because we have experienced so many lifetimes and so many difficult situations that consciously or subconsciously we are afraid to be here. So this is why we are not opening lower chakras to connect to the crystal grid. And at this moment is very, very important to know that, because it is also like a sound. When I do it at the moment now, I feel I can see immediately the crystals, and if you touch the crystal, there is the sound. So the sound is coming from Gaia as well. And we are adjusting to hear the sound through this, not through the ears, but through the consciousness, through the heart space. Yeah. So maybe I've been answering too long this question, but sorry.
No, it's great. So, I often think that what I often tell people is, number one is whatever you can do to get to a place of peace more and more and more, that's when the portal opens.
Yeah.
And sound is not only the most effective, it's the most fun.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Excellent.
laughter is the sound as well. So when we laugh, when we go peaceful, when we take a breath and go into peacefulness, of course, I started with the relaxation. So the relaxation to me is what we can tell our mind to say, okay, we are safe, we are okay, we are peaceful, we are absorbing higher frequency. So this is the relaxation that is so important. Yeah.
I think of source as all frequencies. Because when you're one with the universe, it's like I am all.
Yeah.
And there's universal love there, which is like one frequency.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but source, when I'm one with the universe, the way I think of it mentally is it's all frequencies.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I sometimes have a hard time finding one frequency for source, because when I'm everything, I don't want to play a crystal bow or do a sound. It's like it's everything. I'm everything all at once.
Yeah. And it can be very difficult from the beginning. I remember when I was recording a long time ago, I call it light worker, and I did it with the sound ball, but I was using my singing sound, and suddenly I did what you are just saying. I just opened and I felt like, wow, there is like a huge universe and that everything is talking to me at once. That was quite difficult actually, because our body is learning how to adjust to feel higher selves and higher selves and higher selves, that we are able to know that we are part of everything, we are part of every vibration, every frequency. But being human, we have to choose. We have to choose how to adjust. This is who I am now, this is my personality, this is my human self. And I can go this way and I can pick up this frequency, I can go this way, I can pick up this. This is consciousness. Because if we open too much at once and our nervous system is not ready yet to know such a big space of universe, then it can be overwhelming. So we have an agenda, and we have the beautiful system of frequency connected to the body, connected to the fifth dimensional also system. And when we listen to this, when we are inside ourselves and listen deeply who we are in this system, it will feel harmonious. And bit by bit, we can open to more and more and more, but not everything at once, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've got a really fragile nervous system. So my guides have been really careful about, they push it, right? Okay, we're going to open you a little more. And I'm like, wee, and I've definitely over the last few years opened way more. Actually, it's so funny. I was talking to my friend a few months ago, and she said, Source showed me full on universal love. And she was a light being already. And she said, I actually fell over on the ground. I was knocked off my feet. It was so powerful.
Yeah, yeah. I am, over the last maybe 5-10 years, I am consciously adjusting and adjusting more and adjusting more. When I did sessions sometimes with the group, and I'm opening everything, like I'm opening the not the channels, but I open the frequencies from the horizontal and vertical planes. And I hold this, like I'm holding this frequency. And I have been very tired after one group session or the personal session, because I felt like I'm doing this all by myself. And this moment, things are changing. So they are more and more lights are coming. The system is changing. So, and I am changing. Yes, from the inner self. It is the system, nervous system is adjusting, and the body and mind, everything. So we can hold more. Yes, we can hold more of what the universe is giving us here. So that's very good. Yeah. I feel much stronger now.
People have no idea how wonderful it is. It's really, I mean, if people knew, they would stop everything and just focus on trying to get there. If they knew. It's like when you really access oneness with indescribable love there. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it was funny, I've been talking with my friends just recently, and a lot of students have said, what do you do? How do you not get out? I mean, how do you get out of bed? Right? I mean, you could go homeless if you're one with the universe all the time and in indescribable love. Why get out of bed at all? Right? And then I realized it's if you can engage your will and divine will while you're in this state of oneness, then you can actually manifest on a really high level in alignment with Source while you're in this oneness state. Because most people, when they go there, they just get blissed out and they float.
Yeah, because it is about embodiment. Because we are already there, yes. I'm perfectly aware that my higher self is happy and everything is just perfect, and I'm a powerful being. I know that. I know myself. But everything that I do is embodiment. Because when we are more and more conscious that this is the beautiful universe that is working through us, we will understand that we are embodiment. We are doing this for the human. We are doing this for the third dimension. We are doing this to undo this lower horizontal timelines, this heaviness. So we need to remember that. And all my love and the motherly energies and the feminine and with the open heart and the Gaia, it is all about us being here to embody. And as much as everybody is able to do, because when we are embodying the light, the hard stuff is coming out first. Yeah, this is what is happening around the world. The difficult stuff is like, the vibration is doing this, and when the vibration is moving the stuff, it's like, oh, in my face, wow, I have to look at this, I have to transform this. And people are afraid of that. simply because they still hold this subconscious mentality that if I see this ugly stuff, it means I have done something wrong, because we've been programmed to think that. So if we are able to change this program inside us that this is not wrong, this is just because we have chosen to dig in to this mud and we have to put the sound there, yes, we have to put the light there, we have to just do this work. It is not nice. I went through so much to be where I am. I went through so much, and it's just, but I know bit by bit, step by step, I still do this. It's embodiment.
Nice. So, what's your contact info?
VoiceDorota.com is my website. Voice Dorota, DOROTA.com.
Cool. Let's do one sound of love, light, and oneness together to end.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Okay. You go ahead and begin. I'll join in.
Nanawato hididati